Welcome to the show. I'm your host, Michael Lynch, and this is Off the Cuff. Today we're going to talk about a couple of things, the dichotomy of things. Everything has a yin, everything has a yang, everything is positive, negative, everything has a dichotomy. A dichotomy is basically not the opposites, but it's kind of like two sides of the same coin. Once you get started on this dichotomy, you've got to have the full spectrum, the full range of emotions and intellect and things all rolled together to make up a human being. But in many cases, especially in America, we have dichotomies that do not pertain to each other or do not even exist. In ancient cultures, such as ancient China and Japan, they have a primary culture, and this was also in ancient Greece, which actually changed over time. And that was to have manners and to be appreciative. And so in a society that has no manners and is not appreciative of what the resources are or how they're getting them, then they have no respect. No respect. What's always amazed me, especially in ancient samurai movies and ancient Chinese movies, where the warriors are there and they're fighting and things like that. And when they win, they are victorious, and then they decide the fate of their captives or the defeated. They decide the fate of the defeated. But what is really about it all is that the defeated, who had honor at the beginning of the battle, have been defeated, and now they have humility. So you can't have honor without humility. You cannot have strength without weaknesses. The average person needs to know the difference between all that before they can actually become a rational human being. If they think that the world owes them or continues to give to them, then they have no respect for where that is coming from. And they have no desire for it to change. So a person that will risk everything, we call it a martyr complex. No, they're selflessness. They have selflessness. I'll give it for the betterment of the society, for the betterment of my children. I'll sacrifice. And that is selflessness. If you go around and brag about how much you have contributed or donated or given away, if you go around and brag about that, that's martyrism. Because you want the respect, you want the adoration that you are selfless. In the Asian cultures, they are selfless without the braggadocious capability. So that means they're all finding their own level of selflessness. And through selflessness, if you can pay close attention, they get an adamant of respect, an accommodation of respect, because other people come to a realization, their offspring, their husbands, their wives, their children, their grandchildren, look at that and say, that is selflessness, and I respect that. I'm not going to take advantage of that. But in many cases, in our hillbilly American Western society, where we just want it all and we want more and more and more, we have no discipline for the selflessness that someone else is providing. And it's not only to when it's too late that person has died, where people figure out what they're missing. What they're missing, because why? It's not being provided anymore. And we're not talking basically emotion, we're talking physical attributes: money, car, cash, wine, real estate, homes. People just take it. They demand an inheritance. They want to be given, they want to be given things because they have no idea or condition of selflessness. And so their grandparents, their parents will sacrifice all their lives to help their children, because they have learned over time that their children are an investment, and it's good for them to practice a little selflessness. So the idea is you cannot have honor without humility. You cannot have dignity or respect without selflessness. And it's not to be proud of what you're doing. It's not to develop the concept of like, well, I'm the only one doing this, I should be rewarded for it. No, the idea here is to find that level of selflessness that you can achieve, that you can contribute, and then find this equilibrium within you. You can only do so much. You're human. You only have so much money, so much time, so much effort, so much of everything. But contributing in a selfless way to others, and they not realize it, is not on you. It's on them. And you can say, well, you didn't raise your children right because they don't respect you. They're not going to ever respect you. And the thing is that is correct. But you don't need respect. You need to understand that if you're happy with yourself in your selflessness, in that equilibrium balance, then everything will take care of itself. To find Zen, to find this equilibrium with nature, is to find that level of what can I contribute to versus what can I receive. But if we're locked into just reception, receiving, consumption, you're a great hillbilly American. You're an American that has been in America all your life, born and raised, and can't stop because you're addicted to capitalism and Americanism. Now, there are many charities out there. I understand that. And there's many people that write a check for tax purposes or whatever to charities to give to them so that they can then spread the wealth. And that's all well and good. That's fine. But the people that are receiving that contribution, are they really respecting you for your selflessness, or just wanting more and more and more that you can possibly provide? Now, there are many cults out there. There's a handful of occults out there that love you as long as you're contributing. As long as you're giving them some type of financing so they can go out and do whatever they do, that's great. But when you can no longer contribute and you're asking for something back, then no. They close the door. You're not worth their time anymore. Because why? Everything that accepts doesn't require humility or dignity. It very seldom ever has any honor. Because why? They need a level of selflessness to understand the gifts that are being given. The problem in our society at this time, and it runs rampant, I mean, it goes from the super wealthy all the way to the super poor, is I want my way all the time, 24/7, and I want it, and I'm going to get it because it's my way or the highway. There's no selflessness there. There's no community. There's no organization. There's no equilibrium. There's no Zen. That's a one-way street, a one-way direction. So if you're in psychology or parapsychology, you'll find people that want it all their way, all the time, no matter what. No matter what price you have to pay, they want what they want. And they don't care. You can call it narcissistic tendencies. You can call it emperor complex. You can call it spoiled brat. You can call it whatever you want. But once one side gets higher and demands more than what it can possibly receive, then you have problems. Because this will never relent. And this can never meet. It's never enough. That psychology will never relent. And they will have a hypochondriac fit, a tantrum, because you're not supplying enough to them. And I've seen this in every organization I've been under. People join, pretty good intentions, look what I can do, I'm going to contribute, until the point is everyone else is an idiot and I'm going to take over, I'm going to run it the way I think it should be run. I have contributed the most money, I want the most accolades, I want the laurel leaves, and I want to glow like a god. And if you don't like it, you can leave. These people will walk into an organization with probably 100 people, maybe more. And by the end of the year, there is no one there. They've left. Because the person who fought and clawed his way to the top, and he can't inspire more people to give him what he wants, the people that are there say, we cannot give anymore, and they will leave. Instead of him finding humility, he says, good riddance to you. Because he has no honor and he has no humility. It's something that we fight with every day. It's not good or bad. It's whether do we find selflessness in this crazy hillbilly political gun-toting, slinging world. It's all right. I don't care if you wear a gun. Make it where I can see it. You know, I don't like the conceal and carry. But don't get mad when I have 2 guns and you only have 1. Don't get mad when I have a buffalo rifle and you only have a little .38 special. You cannot have it your way all the time in anything. Politics, jobs, whatever. It doesn't work that way. The definition of community is everyone contributing. It takes a village. No, it takes a globe, a world of people looking out for everyone else through selflessness. And once they have achieved that zen of selflessness, I can only give so much, I need to be happy with that. Then that's the key. If you look at every society that did not have selflessness but martyrism, they have failed. Every organization that did not practice selflessness but dictatorships have failed. Because when the martyr or the dictator gets what he wants, everyone else has to suffer until they cannot fuel the wants and the depravity of the dictator. Caligula was a prime example in the Roman Empire. Nero, again, it's great to be on top, it's great to be number 1, but guess what? A whole continent could not fuel your crazy desires. When Nero's wife died, he spent equivalent to today's money, $1 billion in frankincense from North Africa. $1 billion to be burned while her body lay in state for about a year, maybe a little bit longer, till it rotted away. It virtually broke the budget of Rome. Caligula wanted to build a bridge so he could ride his horses across a river in Rome. And we call it today as a metaphor, the bridge too far, one bridge too far. Caligula built the bridge, had the bridge built, and then broke the banks of Rome. Now, the banks of Rome were backed in gold, but once you paid it all out and put nothing back into the treasury, Rome went broke. And they said, okay, it's time to get rid of this guy. It's time to shut this guy down. Every dictator goes through that same. And what did he do wrong? What did I do wrong? Why is everybody against me? Muammar Gaddafi, Saddam Hussein, Genghis Khan, maybe he wasn't as bad. But there were so many out there craving the desire, the addiction to consumption and power, and rising to the top of that riffraff, that ilk, that they decided that all of your contribution should go to them, and they will profit from it and contribute nothing. Bernie Madoff was a Ponzi scheme. American capitalism, it's a Ponzi scheme. We're going to go broke, just like Rome. We won't be able to pay our military. We won't be able to buy military products. We won't be able to recycle the military that we already have. Every nation is going the way of the West, and the Western nations were built and based upon older civilizations than Rome that now no longer exist. In the epics of Gilgamesh, the same thing. You can read the same thing. Marduk, the same thing. Even in the Bible, in 1 Samuel, they go to Samuel, the people of Israel go to Samuel and say, we don't want Jehovah as our king and Lord anymore. We don't want space aliens that care very little about our welfare. We want a human being. We don't want a prophet. We want a human being to represent us. Because a human being understands the toil and the labor and the back-breaking sweat from our brow. Jehovah does not. Jehovah's plan was to eliminate the children of Israel and everything they stood for in one fell swoop. So if you're in an organization, whether it be, I can go down the list, MUFON, the U.S. Senate, U.S. Congress, whatever, and you see your leaders who don't understand selflessness and who want to just use you for what you can contribute to their success, you can say, well, that's just a corporation. That's just the way corporations work. No. That's not right. That's what they have made. We have created a world based on that design as old as the Anunnaki themselves. We have mimicked their societies to this day. And the only ones that have been able to break that gap is the ancient Chinese who came to Earth almost 200,000 or 300,000 years ago. They brought with them one basic concept, and that was selflessness. And that's what kept them alive until Chairman Mao decided to turn selflessness into a profiteering capital enterprise called communism. Similar theoretical concept, wrong idea. Taiwan is China. Chiang Kai-shek, the last dedicated emperor of China, went to Taiwan because Chairman Mao had taken over all of mainland China. And now mainland China has enough money, billions and trillions of billionaires running around, thinking that we now need Taiwan because it's part of China. Yes, it is China. It is Taiwan is China. The China on the map that we see is not China. And it has, to this day, if you watch the news carefully, They don't even know what selflessness is. A hallmark of their society and traditions are now being swept under the rug for profiteering communists that have collected money from the Western world and emulated that as if it was a disease or a bacteria that's going to be spread completely around the world. There's more than just COVID. There's an idea in the head that if we survive, we all survive. But one person is not here to exploit everyone else's resources for their own, even though America has been doing it for 100 years. It's still not right. Because why? We have not learned selflessness. A simple concept. And how do I know? Just watch the nightly news. You know, we can have empathy, we can have mercy, we can be thoughtful, but our society as a whole, a bunch of fanatic hillbillies, have now destroyed our evolution and set us back to where we are selfless. We have nothing. We have nothing. And then we run to a dictator for solace. And there's an old saying, which I'll throw that out. If you don't stand for something, you will fall for nothing. The warrior knows when he's been defeated, and he falls to his knees, and he asks for humility. He is humbled in front of the victor. The victor who has selflessness says, you're defeated. You've admitted it. Get up. Go your way. I've spared your life. I can't find one person in a traffic jam in America that will even consider that possibility. Because why? They're burning the candle at both ends, and they're being compressed with time and money and education. Everything else is being compressed down to where they're just living out somebody else's wicked fantasies and dreams. If you think you're independent, if you think that you are your own person, guess again. Freedom is an illusion told to you in nursery rhymes and bedtime stories. We're not free because we have not learned how to grow up and adopt true selflessness. So I can have honor and dignity as well as humility. Hey, this has been a great show. Thank you for watching. This is Dr. Lynch. I've got a few more coming up, but I'm going to do some interviews in the near future, so stay tuned. And you have a great tomorrow. And this has been Off the Cuff. Thank you for watching.